Good evening, Internet. My name is Michael, and I'm here to review some stuff for you. Tonight we're going to take a look at a horror movie from this undead vampire movie collection thing I bought a few weeks ago. I bought this specifically just for this movie I'm about to review for you. The movie is The Werewolf vs. Vampire Women, and it's from the 70s. So it predates most of all the newfangled, vampires versus werewolf stuff that's been out, like Underworld and stuff. Now, if you've never seen this movie before, let me read the back so you can get a brief synopsis. In The Werewolf versus Vampire Women, a werewolf is brought back to life and heads off to the countryside in search of a safe haven and also prey. So, yeah, that's all there is on the back there. There's like 19 movies there, so it's only a couple sentences each. This movie is interesting. It's a foreign movie. I think it's from Spain. I couldn't really tell you. I just looked a little bit on the IMDb page. It's been dubbed over in English. The dub job is pretty good. And the plot of the movie is interesting, to say the least. It starts off with like a police inspector and a coroner. They're doing a autopsy on this guy who's believed to be a werewolf, and he was shot with silver bullets. And they reveal that he has the sign of the werewolf, which you would think it'd be like a 5-pointed star or a pentacle or something, but it's actually just a pentagram over his heart. He has a pentagram. It's weird. But anyway, the coroner and the other guy, I think he's also a doctor. They're discussing. He's not. The one doctor doesn't think he's a werewolf, and he's about to start the autopsy. And the other guy's like, "So you're gonna start with the stomach?" He's like, "No. You see, if you take the silver bullets out, a werewolf's supposed to come back to life. But of course, he's not a werewolf, so that's not going to happen." And so he takes the silver bullets out, and of course, the dude turns back into a werewolf, kills them, and runs off. That's how the movie starts. And then we go over, switch to somewhere in France, it's supposed to be, where these two college students, or a college student is telling her, it's like her boyfriend, and he's I guess he's some sort of police inspector or something, that she's doing a project with her roommate or something. These two college girls, they go off into the countryside and they're looking for the tomb of this woman who was supposed to have been a witch and maybe a vampire, but no one knows where she's buried. So they're going to go look for where she's buried. And it skips over. They go off into the wilderness. They're off in like the middle of nowhere, and their car runs out of gas. And they're trying to find the burial place of this vampire / witch, who, also by the way, the only way to kill this vampire particularly is with this very special silver cross that has a knife blade at the bottom of it. So anyway, they're in the middle of nowhere, and they run into this guy, who is the werewolf from the beginning of the movie. Anyway, he tells them that, there's the nearest town's really far away, but they can stay at his house, where he's just hanging out, writing books, and it'll be cool because his repairman will show up and they can go into town in a few days and get more gas. So anyway, they're hanging out at his place. There's no power. One of them's a little bit suspicious of him, but the other one's okay with it. And then they're sleeping, and then they're attacked in the night by this woman, who maybe think, oh, it's the vampire. No, it's actually his crazy sister. So his crazy sister attacks a couple of them. He explains why she's crazy. And you find out that he has this shed with a bunch of manacles and blood. And he just tells them that it was for, like, skinning deer. But it's not. But anyway, they eventually... One of them wants to go away because the sister's crazy and she attacked them. But the other one flip-flops and is like, nah, we'll stick around. It's okay. So anyway, they eventually find out where the countess, or the vampire lady's buried. And they go there. And they dig her up. And they're about to open the coffin, and the one girl's like, oh, I don't want to, we shouldn't do this. And the other one's like, no, we need to open up, make sure she's there. So they open up the coffin, and they find a skeletal remains with the cross sticking in it. And of course, the one girl grabs the cross and pulls it out, and then she gets cut, and her blood drops into the mouth of the vampire. So of course the vampire is going to come back to life. And the other girl, who had wandered off because she didn't want to be part of the grave robbing, gets attacked by, I think it's a zombie. I'm not really sure. They don't really say, but she gets attacked by the zombie, but the dude shows up, stabs it with the cross, and he turns to dust. And then cue night scene. They go back to the house, and they're hanging out at the house. The two women are discussing, you know, what's going on. And then they go to sleep. And then the vampire shows up. And she attacks the one lady who pulled the cross out and turns her into a vampire. And then they kill the sister. The crazy sister. Like off screen. You just sort of see her body later on. And then the vampires are trying to attack the lady, but the werewolf guy shows up, shows them the cross, and they run away. And then more stuff happens. And so anyway, after that, the lady goes back, it's like, you know, they're vampires now. And the lady goes with the repairman into town to get gas for the car. Well, the dude says he has some stuff he needs to take care of, which consists of, he does an old-fashioned vampire killing on his sister, stake through the heart, cuts off her head, and buries her. And then later on, he's attacked by the vampire college roommate girl, and he ends up killing her. The main girl gets attacked by like the vampire roommate before she gets killed, and some more stuff happens. Eventually, the guy explains that, oh yeah, he's a werewolf. And the shed with the manacles was his sister would tie him up in there and chain him up. But he got free, killed a bunch of people, and was killed by some villagers with silver bullets, which is the scene from the beginning of the movie. And then he also reveals that he's basically immortal. And the only way to kill him is with that specific cross from someone who loves him. So that's why he was looking for the cross. But anyway, they kill the college vampire. The lady that got bitten, she turns back to normal. Some more stuff happens. You find out that the evil vampire, she worships the devil, and she's trying to do something on Walpurgis Night. I don't know what that is, but in the movie they explain that it's like the devil will show up on Earth and vampires will rule supreme or something. But anyway, some more stuff happens. They hang out for a couple of months. The lady falls in love with the werewolf guy. Then her boyfriend shows up, the one that was the cop. He shows up after a couple of months, and he's finding out that there's all these murders and stuff happening in town, which has been happening on and off in the movie, but it's not really clear if it's the vampire that's killing people, or if it's the werewolf, or both. But anyway, he threatens the werewolf guy, like, he wants to take his girlfriend back to, like, Paris or whatever, and he agrees finally, because it's Walpurgis Night, and she's going to summon the devil. So those two try to get away, but they're caught by the vampire, and the werewolf guy, like, wanders in. He fights, or... Okay, sorry. So it's Walpurgis Night. The vampire lady's going to sacrifice the main college girl to the devil. And the devil starts to show up. Literally, they have like this shadow demon thing that's starting to show up. You just see a shadow. But then the werewolf guy shows up with the cross, which drives the devil back. And then he turns into a werewolf and attacks the vampire. And you have finally the vampire versus werewolf, which really wasn't much of a fight because the werewolf just kicks her ass. They wrestle on the ground a little bit, and then he just, I guess, decides, you know, enough of this, and just beats her, flings her across the room, runs over, and like bites her head off, and then she's dead. And then right after that, the lady picks up the cross and stabs him in the chest and says, "You're free." And then he turns back to human, and then her and the cop go off into the sunset. So it has a very abrupt ending, and the fight, the much awaited fight between the werewolf and the vampire was actually kind of funny. So that part was pretty cool. All in all, I give this movie a 5. It was shot in the 70s. It's the copy I got isn't really great, but it's decent enough. It has decent... The special effects are okay. The werewolf makeup for the werewolf is actually pretty good. The vampires, their makeup, their fangs are kind of really cheesy looking, but it works pretty well. And they also do an effect in this movie where all the vampires, when they moving around and stuff, it's pretty much in slow-mo, and it has a pretty creepy vibe to it. So all in all, this is actually a pretty good movie. If you can find a copy of it, I recommend you watch it. You might be able to find it on the internet for free because I'm pretty sure it's public domain. So anyway, that's all for this time, and stay tuned when we review something else next time.